In my previous video, I traveled to Austin, Texas and checked out the airport before boarding a flight and flying to Dallas-Fort Worth. In this follow-up video, I'll have breakfast and check out of my downtown Fort Worth hotel to explore the Sundance Square area of downtown Fort Worth. Then we'll take a look around Fort Worth Central Station and board the Amtrak Texas Eagle for our trip back to Austin. Let's get going. After spending the night at the downtown Fort Worth Hampton Inn and Suites, I grabbed a quick breakfast downstairs and walked out the front door to check out the location. The Hampton Inn is located on Commerce Street across from the Fort Worth Convention Center. After taking a few minutes to get my bearings, I headed back inside to get my things and check out of the hotel, and then head out to explore the downtown Fort Worth area. The hotel is also only a block away from Fort Worth Central Station, my destination this afternoon, where I will board Amtrak for my trip back to Austin. The views here are of Central Station as seen from the windows by the hotel elevators. After leaving the hotel, I walked up Commerce Street past the Hilton to 6th Street, where I turned left and walked over a block to Main Street, location of some interesting stores, restaurants, and coffee shops. Walking up Main Street between 6th and 5th Streets, we pass by the Courtyard by Marriott, which occupies the block. After crossing 5th Street, we come to a couple of interesting eating places. First is Jake's Burgers, as the name implies, a hamburger place, and then Mi Cocina, a Mexican restaurant. Just across 4th Street is Sundance Square Plaza with its iconic hat in the middle. The hat is 16 feet long, 6 feet tall, and 12 feet wide and is covered in thousands of mirrors. It weighs half a ton. Sundance Square is a pedestrian plaza and is surrounded by things like Starbucks, Nestle's Toll House Cafe, Funky Town Donuts, and Del Frisco's Grill. Across 3rd Street and on the left is Razoo's Cajun Cafe, and a little further along is Sid Richardson Museum, which features historic paintings of the Old West. Also on this block is the brunch restaurant Yoke and Waters Seafood Restaurant. Across the street is Risky's Barbecue. Moving past 2nd Street is Toro Toro Restaurant, a chic eatery which bills itself as Pan-Latin with a Texas flair. There are a number of historical marker signs such as this one along the streets explaining Fort Worth's historic part in the development of the American West. At the end of Main Street is the Tarrant County Courthouse. The street passing in front of the courthouse is East Weatherford Street. I'm going to head back toward Fort Worth Central Station along Houston Street for a few blocks before crossing back over to Main Street. Vaquero Coffee is here on the left. Across the street between 2nd and 3rd Streets is Riata Restaurant, an upscale southwestern restaurant. We'll jump back over to Main Street at Sundance Square. Here's another of those historic signs along Main Street. As we make our way along the part of Main Street that we missed earlier, we come to the Fort Worth location of Ruth Chris Steakhouse, located between 7th and 8th Streets. Also located in this area just before reaching the convention center is Del Frisco's Double Eagle Steakhouse. Located by the Convention Center in General Worth Square is the JFK Memorial, commemorating the historic impromptu speech on the steps of the Hotel Texas, now the Hilton, and the formal presentation at a Chamber of Commerce breakfast on November 22, 1963, just before traveling to Dallas. Let's take one more look at the Fort Worth Convention Center before heading over to the Fort Worth Central Station to catch our train. The station is located just a couple of blocks over from the Convention Center, and as stated earlier, just behind the Hampton Inn where we spent the night. Fort Worth Central Station is home to not only Amtrak but also TexRail and Trinity Metro. There are boarding platforms for all of these outside and ticketing inside the station for each. In addition, it is a Greyhound bus terminal serving areas in Texas and beyond. Outside there are 3 boarding tracks with covered platforms shared by the different rail entities served by Central Station. In addition, I discovered that Trinity Metro buses also use this as a hub for servicing areas all over Fort Worth. Housed under a shed here is Historical Car 25, a part of the former interurban line that connected Fort Worth to other parts of Texas. For rail fans, the outdoor platforms make a great place for train watching. Here we see the arrival of Amtrak's Heartland Express, a daily train from Oklahoma City to Fort Worth. The train, with engines at each end, arrives on the main line and then after some switching pulls back into the platform on track 3 for unloading. It will depart a few hours later to return to Oklahoma City. Here we witness the arrival of a TexRail train from DFW Airport's Terminal B. These trains run hourly between Fort Worth and the airport and make a very convenient and inexpensive alternative way of transportation to the airport. Arriving here is a Trinity Metro train from Dallas Union Station. These trains run hourly between Fort Worth and Dallas. And here's another TexRail headed to the airport. And here's our Amtrak Texas Eagle arriving from Dallas after its long journey from Chicago. Because of the train's length, boarding takes place well beyond the covered part of the platform. Let's get aboard. I'm seated in standard coach seating, but the seats are comfortable and very roomy. There's plenty of overhead space for carry-on items, and because of my short trip, I didn't have any checked luggage, although that is an option as well if needed. I found a window seat in a car near the rear of the train and settled in with my backpack and plenty of room for the trip back to Austin. There were quite a few people boarding in Fort Worth, but soon enough, and about an hour late, we were pulling out of the station and on our way. We were soon traveling through areas south of Fort Worth and on our way to our first stop in Cleburne, Texas. We arrived in Cleburne about 40 minutes after departing from Fort Worth, and after a brief stop, continued south. The tracks between Fort Worth and Cleburne, and even for a while south of Cleburne, were a little bit rough and caused the train to move about quite a bit. In spite of this, I was hungry and decided to head up a couple of cars to the cafe car and get something to eat. I picked up a turkey and cheese sandwich, some chips, and a drink in the cafe, and returned to my seat to eat it. In spite of the fact that it was pre-packaged, it really wasn't bad and hit the spot. As we crossed the Brazos River, we were nearing a part of Central Texas that was close to home. We soon passed through the town of Clifton. And then, after passing through parts of rural central Texas, we passed through the town of Crawford. A few minutes later, we were arriving at our next stop in McGregor, Texas, about an hour and 45 minutes after leaving Fort Worth. Highway 84 that we are passing over in this scene is a road I travel often between my home and Waco, Texas. Looking west here, we're only about 19 miles from my home. McGregor is a stop that the train only makes if there are passengers boarding or leaving the train here, as there were this afternoon. After leaving McGregor, we passed through rural central Texas and small towns on our way to our next stop in Temple in about 30 minutes. Here we're passing through Moody, Texas. As we approach Temple, we pass over Interstate 35 and then by the Temple train yards as we approach the station in Temple. Upon arriving at the station, passengers are given the opportunity to get off and stretch their legs briefly during the stop. I took the opportunity to return to the cafe car and pick up an assorted cheese and crackers snack pack and a marshmallow treat. Soon we were underway again and on our way toward Austin after one more stop in Taylor, Texas, a little further down the line. This part of the trip also passes through parts of rural Texas. Here we're passing through the town of Holland. Hey, if you haven't done so, would you take a moment to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button so you don't miss any of our future videos. As the sun began to settle lower and lower in the west, it became increasingly difficult to film out my window, so the rest of the arrival into Austin's not on video, although it was pretty much uneventful. The Austin Amtrak station is located just off of North Lamar, just before crossing the bridge over the Colorado River. After arriving at the station, I ordered an Uber to take me back to my car at the airport and took a few more videos before the Uber arrived. We say a final farewell to Train 21, the Texas Eagle, as it departs Austin and continues its trip southward toward San Antonio, Texas. My Uber arrived and we were soon negotiating the late afternoon Austin traffic back to the airport where my journey began the day before. We'll end our video here. Be sure to check out part 1 if you haven't done so to see our trip from Austin up to the DFW airport. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's look at the Sundance Square area of downtown Fort Worth Central Station, and our Amtrak trip on the Texas Eagle back to Austin. If you enjoyed the video, would you give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and leave us a comment to let us know what you think? Meanwhile, check out this video next for more travel fun. And don't forget to subscribe.